you at a good gymnastics meet. Today, they'll see Lance Rignall, the 1988 Olympic finalist, and Brandy Johnson, another Olympian who was the top finisher in the all-around for the USA. Patrick Kirksey is on hand. He is the 1989 Big 8 all-around champion. Wendy Bruce, the 1989 mixed pairs champion, seen here on ESPN, along with partner Li Jing. And Conrad Borsinger, a Stanford University star that led his team to the silver medal at the Pac-10 championships. Today it's head-to-head competition between Robin Richter and Wendy Bruce. Wendy Bruce, always strong on the uneven parallel bars. In 1989, she's become a true all-around power. And for the men, Mike Williams goes up against Scott Burr. It's one-on-one gymnastics. We're in Denver, Colorado, where the business of this day is gymnastics. ESPN, the Total Sports Network, and the United States Gymnastics Federation present the 1989 U.S. Challenge. Today it is show number 5, featuring Robin Richter against Wendy Bruce and Mike Williams against Scott Burr. Welcome inside the Denver Coliseum. There are 10 events in store for you on our Friday night of gymnastics. Hello, everyone. This is our 5th matchup. I'm Leandra Riley, and joining me in this telecast is Olympian Bart Connor. And Bart, first, let's talk about the men. Scott Burr is really a strong competitor, and he really is going to have his work cut out for him tonight.
Well, Mike Williams is also very strong. The interesting thing about these two is it's going to show how important consistency is. They both have 3 or 4 really outstanding events and a couple of weak events. So who can ever hang on the weak events is going to be the winner here.
All right, this is an excellent matchup for the men. On the women's side, you've seen her before. She's Wendy Bruce. We saw her win the mixed pairs here on ESPN. She's going up against a relative unknown, Robin Richter.
And Wendy is very hot right now because she's on the team with Brandy Johnson down there in Florida, and they really have a good thing going. I know she's really motivated, and I saw her spirit in the warm-up exercises. Robin Richter is coming off a very big international win this year. She won the Kraft International Invitational in London, so she has good experience as well.
All right, it sounds like we have an exciting matchup for our 5th of the 6 first-round matchups here on our Friday night of gymnastics. Stay with us. We're about to begin gymnastics from Denver. The 1989 U.S. Gymnastics Challenge continues now from Denver, Colorado. For those of you who missed the first format of our show, let me explain it to you. It's just like a tournament bracket. We've already had first-round competitions and 4 matchups. This is our 5th matchup, and it features Wendy Bruce and Robin Richter going head-to-head on the women's side. Now, on the men's side, they, too, have had 4 matchups already. Our 5th matchup you are looking at right now, it is Scott Burr against Mike Williams. Now, in men's gymnastics, they compete in 6 events. The women compete in 4, so in this first rotation, we are only going to see the men, while the women have what we would call a bye. We are following the Olympic order. As you look at Scott Burr, we begin with floor exercise. And Scott Burr was born in Richmond, Indiana. He currently lives in California, but trains in Provo, Utah, as he attends Brigham Young University.
Scott is an amazingly talented gymnast. He's only been in the sport for 6 years. And he's been on the national team for 1 of those years. Look at that mount. Double back, punch front. He's very explosive. You can see how strong he is, and he's quick off the floor. Good take. Oh, that's a shame. He landed a little short on that double back. He just opened up too early. Those are flared circles.
Strong on the fingertips.
Very good work. That's a press through plange on fingertips to a handstand. Scott's coach up there is at Brigham Young University is Mako Sakamoto, who was the assistant coach for our Olympic team in '84. He was the assistant coach at UCLA and spent a lot of time with Peter Vidmar and Tim Daggett coaching those guys to their Olympic start. last tumbling run, round off back handspring, double full punch front. He likes to do the punch front skills, and they're very impressive because he's so quick off the floor.
A strong performance by Scott Burr, the 21-year-old athlete from Brigham Young University.
Scott is coached at Brigham Young by Mako Sakamoto, who you may remember as an assistant coach of the 1984 men's Olympic team.
This opening tumbling run, he does round off back handspring. He really is up there on this tuck double back. And watch right here, punch front, and he was trying to go all the way around to prone without touching his feet in the middle. He wanted to do a front 1 1/4. And then on the next double back, he just kicks out a little early. Good height, good reach, and he just opens up just a hair early. And of course, putting your hands down is a major deduction.
And Scott Burr's score for his first performance in the single elimination competition is 9.40. That is the standard that Mike Williams must attain, or at least stay close to, if he wants to survive. Again, it is cumulative scoring that will get you into the next round. And although you may beat an individual on 3 or 4 events, it is the total score of all 6 events added together that will determine who advances. It is an all-around type of competition. Mike Williams was born in Dallas, Texas. He currently resides in Houston, Texas. He also attends Houston Baptist University.
Mike is a very talented young gymnast. Nice opening tumbling run. It was a 1 1/2 twisting backflip with 1 3/4 flips. Beautifully done. Years ago, Mike used to come up to our gymnastics camps in Oklahoma, and he was always kind of a wild kid, always cutting the big trick, and he loved the daring skills. And you can see now he's perfected his form, he has good polish, but he still likes to go for the big tricks as he did on the opening run. Second pass, front step out, through to a 1 1/2 twist back, punch front. Good combination.
And there's something we don't see too often, a nice basic cartwheel.
Front punch, front 1 3/4. Boy, he's really powerful. And he's big for a world-class gymnast. He's 5'8" and 150 pounds, which is pretty good size for a gymnast. He's very agile considering he's so big. Dismount, really high tuck double. Great exercise for Mike Williams.
Mike Williams looking to get a 9.4 or better.
This opening run is great. 1 1/2 twisting, 1 3. Great form, perfectly in control. The second tumbling run, pike front step out, round off back handspring, back flip, 1 1/2 twist to a punch front.
Score for Mike Williams, 9.50.
And his last tumbling run was off the ceiling. He just skies this tuck double back. Look at the lift and the reach right here. Boom! He is up there. No problem.
And the score that Mike Williams received for that fine performance on the floor exercise event is 9.50. He is now in the lead by 1/10 of a point after 1 rotation. We'll be back in a moment. The ninth challenge, it's very close. Mike Williams is 1/10 of 1 point ahead of Scott Burr. But they will move now to their second rotation. But we're going to take our first look at the women before we see the men for a second time. And the women begin their competition on the vault. Vaulting first is Robin Richter. Again, a reminder, women vault twice in Olympic competition. They will vault twice here. Both scores are scored independently. It is the higher of the two that will count towards their all-around total.
Good job.
Robin Richter was born in Lincoln, Nebraska, still lives in Nebraska, competes for the Nebraska School of Gymnastics, where she is coached by Peggy Liddick and Steve Elliott.
She does a Yurchenko vault in the laid-out position. She's a little close to the horse. She'll want to get a little more distance next time. Her hands didn't quite get onto the horse in a good position. As you can see, she didn't get her hands up on top of the horse enough. They were just barely on and didn't allow her to get the kind of push and the repulsion off the horse that she'll need.
And Robin Richter on her first vault received a score of 9.2.
Her coach, one of her coaches, by the way, Steve Elliott, is a former world champion in power tumbling, an incredible athlete in his own right. I'm sure he instructed her to get onto the horse just a little bit more so she can block a little higher and spot the landing. That's a better one. Oh, She knew she had it. She tried to stick it, and she opened up just a little early.
Yurchenko vaults, and her second score will be up in just a moment.
Once again, the round-off approach. She gets onto the horse, a little bit better push. It looked to me like she was standing up a little too soon right there, and she thought she had enough rotation to not have to take a hop forward. She does get her hands up farther on the horse, but she didn't get the push that she was looking for.
Score is coming up now, 9.15.
The second vault was not scored as high as the first. She received a 9.15. Therefore, it is the 9.2 that she received from the first vault that will carry into her all-around total. And that is the score that concerns Wendy Bruce the most, because that is the score she must try to attain. Wendy Bruce is 16 years old. She was born in New York, but lives in North Lauderdale, Florida. She is coached by Kevin and Rita Brown.
Now, she has signified with that score of 4.91 next to her and the runway that she's telling the judges she's going to do a Yurchenko full in the laid-out position. Oh, that was nice.
And high. Kevin Brown doesn't have much to say except, all right, try to do that again.
She had good power here. Good, clean position onto the horse. Solid laid-out position. And an easy twist. She'll try to stick that the next time. There's no question about that. She's very comfortable with the amount of power. She just barrels into the horse here.
She is now 16.
Good, clean form in the air.
And the judges barreled into the points. They gave her a 9.775 for that first vault. And that's got to really bolster her confidence as she heads down the runway for vault number 2. Now remember, this is a young lady who on ESPN won the mixed pairs competition. She was teamed up with Li Jing from China. A real surprise tandem that came out on top. But she's proving now that was no fluke.
She'll do the same vault. There it is.
Wow.
That was the landing she was looking
Wow.
for. Kevin Brown is pleased with that.
And he should be.
It's an interesting story. You know, she's been living up in the Browns Gymnastics Academy up in Altamont Springs, Florida. She's up from North Lauderdale. She's been living with the Browns for the last year. Then her mother decided she's going to quit her job as a computer programmer and move up there with her because she really wants to make a strong bid to be a significant member of the U.S. team. And she feels that her mother needs to be there to support her in this effort.
Right now, she's doing quite well, though, 9.85. And if Mom comes along, maybe those scores will even get higher. So after one rotation, Wendy Bruce leads Robin Richter by a .65 margin. The men are moving now to their second event, which is the pommel horse. You are looking at Mike Williams. And Mike Williams, you recall, in his first event, floor exercise, received a 9.5 to give him a 1/10 of 1 point advantage over Scott Burr.
Mike has such an incredible attitude. He said this is the hardest event for him, but it's his favorite. Because it's the hardest, he loves the challenge. And it certainly is an event that is quite different from any of the others.
Hey, this is the event in this format that has really been breaking a lot of gymnasts.
Oh, wow, he almost blew it right at the beginning, but he really pulled it out. He was having a lot of trouble with form. Typical of the Mike Williams style, though, he's doing a lot of good tricks. Had a very good move there in the middle. Good scissor work with a full turn. He doesn't quite have the elevation above the horse that you'd like to see. A little sloppy in the form and a little choppy in the rhythm.
But he stayed on.
He's pretty pleased with that because he got off to a rough start, and it could have been much worse because he almost missed the first move.
And we've seen so many gymnasts do that. They get off to a bad start and it just goes downhill, but he hung on.
He does a back more here, looks pretty good, and then he bends his arm, and this guy is strong because I can't tell you how hard it is to continue to swing in a circle when your arms are bent like that. He picked up the momentum and continued very nicely. He does flares down to the end and loops around. He's going to go up to a handstand and try and pirouette off, and he has a little trouble here, but he makes it.
So Mike Williams waiting for his score on the pommel horse. It's a 9.05. Now that might make a little room for Scott Burr to regain that 1/10 of a point he lost to him on floor exercise. Scott Burr, again, from Richmond, Indiana, now living in Utah because he's training at Brigham Young University, although his family is in California. Began the sport in 1982. A late bloomer, I guess you could call him.
Sure has a varied group of hobbies. He's into art, nutrition, and scuba diving.
That is diverse.
Flares on the end. He's very quick. I like this aggressive style. Whoa! Oh. Amazing. We have seen so many guys have trouble on the pommel horse here. He was doing a really very difficult series of moves in the flared position, traveling across the horse.
He seemed to be working so well, too. I didn't really see a reason for him to fall off.
Well, this has been an inconsistent event for him. He's had plenty of trouble here in the past. He swings a little too fast and almost out of control. That kind of style can be very exciting. As you can see, he's very explosive. But it's also the kind of style that can throw you off on your feet before you know what happened.
Now let's take a look at the beginning where he fell off and see why it happened.
Now he starts just ripping into these flares, travels across the horse nose. He's not using the pommels. I mean, this is a great mount. He gets a little too far forward, and he's pretty strong, but not strong enough to pull that back into control. At the end, though, he picked back up into these really very aggressive flares, full turn off, and a good finish. Too bad he had problems early on.
If he could have stuck it, that's a very impressive routine, but I think you're right. He has to slow it down just a little bit. Again, the score he wants to beat is 9.05. That is what Mike Williams attained on the pommel horse with the fall. I don't think he'll be able to do that.
Score for Scott.
Although in terms of originality, I really liked the routine. Unfortunately, the judges really penalized him for the fall. 7.60, the score for Scott Burr on the pommel horse. Mike Williams has a lead after 2. There are 4 rotations for the women at the 1989 U.S. Gymnastics Challenge, and after 1 rotation, our leader is Wendy Bruce by a .65 margin over Robin Richter. On the men's side, they've rotated twice, and right now it is Mike Williams who's on top of Scott Burr by a 1.55 margin. The men have now moved to their 3rd apparatus, and that is the still rings. And you are looking at Scott Burr.
This is one of Scott's best events. In fact, this year in Brussels, he won the rings in the 4th International Belgium Gymnastics competition. He was 5th in the all-around there, but this is really where he made a name for himself on the international level. On the rings. Watch his strength. Kept to a straddle plunge. To a leg-together plunge. Much more difficult. Back roll around to cross. Really nice, slow-moving strength combination. Now, he's certainly fulfilled the requirement of strength in this exercise. Now the judges need to see him swing. All right, a double back within the rings. It's called a gutzigi, invented by a Hungarian gymnast. And a full twisting double dismount. Good exercise.
The gutzigi certainly is very difficult. Did he show enough swinging elements?
It seemed to me like he could have used another giant swing, either forward or backward, because he had good strength, but it was a little bit of a lopsided routine. This is a great skill, but he needs more than just that. He did 2 giants out of it, or dislocate, and a giant right through to the handstand. He could have shown the judges some forward swinging elements, perhaps a front swinging giant, but he finished with a nice dismount, a full twisting double in the tucked position.
9.65.
And the score for Scott Burr, 9.65. Certainly what he did very well. And now Mike Williams, who has a 1.55 lead, is getting ready to go up on the rings. Let's talk about what they wear on their hands when they're on the still rings.
They're using a leather strap that's wrapped around the wrist. You can see that red strap is a piece of Velcro. The strap is longer than your fingers, and it loops back around, and there's a dowel rod extended down there at the end of your fingers. You can see that dowel rod right under his fingernails. And you use that kind of like a hook. It's a little bit like a meat hook. You can really improve your grip by using the dowel rod as a hook around the rings. And it's improved the event a great deal, because when you know you have that kind of confidence in the grip, you can do some major swinging elements and not have to worry that you're going to fly off. He's having some trouble here.
You can see the rings moving.
Plus, the whole opening sequence was a little sloppy. He wasn't precise on the movements. He's a front giant. He's a little tight in the shoulders. He didn't hold that handstand. Yeah. This is going to be a rough score. Because he did tried to do a lot of skills, but didn't complete very many of them. He might open the door for Scott Burr to get back in the competition here, because that's going to have to be a low score, I'm afraid, although he was attempting some good moves. He had some rough times here. He opens with a pull to inverted hang. This is a kip to an L. Now he's going to press to a handstand here. Goes down for an inverted cross, loses control, bails out and goes to a whippet. He was supposed to go to a plunge there. I mean, there were about 3 tricks in a row that he really had some trouble on. This is the front giant. He tries to hit the top on the handstand, but doesn't quite hold it and bails right out and goes for the dismount.
He has a 1.55 lead over Scott Burr, but this is going to narrow it certainly. 8.65. Now remember, Scott Burr received a 9.65, and that just about negates 1 complete point, so the difference between them has now been reduced from 1.55 to just 0.55. Just over a half a point separates these two. The second event for the women is now the uneven parallel bars, and we're looking at Wendy Bruce. She is our leader in this rotation over Robin Richter by a 0.65 margin.
She says this is her favorite event. Straddle over to the high bar. Here we go. Oh, what a really high reverse hack. Good technique. Very powerful giant. Back turn to a Jaeger. She traverses to the lower bar. Free hip pirouette. She has to show skills on both bars and change of direction as she has done. Boy, she really cranks these giants. Look at the power. Easy tuck double dismount.
Great performance by Wendy Bruce. Remember, she had that tremendous vault in her first rotation, receiving a 9.85. She's given us another solid performance on the unevens.
This is great stuff right here. Look at the height and the rotation as she easily makes that reverse hect.
It's too bad the judges can't see this slow motion replay. It really shows how well she performs these
And
moves.
watch, she cranks this giant over with tremendous power. Pops up an easy tuck double. No problem.
She is on tonight. Trains in Altamont Springs, Florida. You're looking at Kevin Brown. He's got to be happy with what she's doing tonight.
Well, also his other star is Brandy Johnson, so he's got a good little program down there at Brown's Gymnastics Academy.
You know, we talked about the 1989 Belgium Gym Masters. She finished second in the all-around, won every event but balance beam, and on balance beam, she got a second place finish. 9.625, the score for Wendy Bruce.
Next up from Nebraska School of Gymnastics in Nebraska.
And this is Robin Richter. In the vault, she received a 9.20. This is now her second event.
I have seen her do some incredible bar routines. Let's see if she can pull one off today. Free hip half turn to a giant. There's the reverse heck. Nicely done. Straddle back to the low bar to a handstand. It's a good combination. Pass right back to the top. Good giant. 2 giants. Full turn over the top. Right to a tuck to... Oh!
What a beautiful routine.
I know that feeling when it's going just right and you have trouble on the dismount. Boy, that was beautiful to that point, too. This is the reverse hex. It's straddled backward over the bar. No problem. Just where she wanted to be. Now watch this straddle back. She used that to traverse to the low bar and set up the rest of her routine. Here's the giant to the full turn over the top, right to the tuck double. She thinks she's a little lower. I think she pulls it around farther than she needs to. She was really high. Once again, you can see here the giant, full turn, good combination, right to the tuck double.
Tough break for Robin Richter. And the score she receives for that uneven parallel bar performance, which was flawless till the finish, 9.225 is her score. She still trails Wendy Bruce. Has the lead by a .55 margin. On the women's side at the halfway point, Wendy Bruce over Robin Richter by a 1.05 advantage. But the women now move to the balance beam, and that has changed a lot of scores in this U.S. Challenge. 4 inches wide, 4 feet off the ground. And it tests your nerves for about a minute and a half. That Craft International that you saw on your screen took place in London, England. So Robin Richter's had the opportunity to compete both here and abroad. She has traveled to Switzerland as well as China, along with London, England. Nice Valdez walkover.
She's setting up for an acro series. Oh, what a nice combination. Flip-flop, layout, flip-flop. There's her full turn.
How long is too long to set up for an acro series?
Well, it all depends on the rhythm of the exercise, but certainly if they're supposed to never stop completely, so you tend to see before a really scary acro pass, you see a lot of waving of the arms while the girls prepare. Oh, that was a nice move. Side flip. She has a lot of difficulty on the beam.
5 feet 3 inches tall. A little tall for a gymnast, but it looks so nice on the balance beam.
Round off back handspring, tuck double. Oh, way short.
Let's make that 1 7/8, not quite a double.
Luckily, she's all right. That is a very difficult final pass. Through to the dismount, a round off back handspring tuck double, but this is amazing. Back handspring layout, and then she goes right into another back handspring. This is great stuff. But she gets into all kinds of trouble here. She's going to do a round off. Watch this back handspring, and she gets a terrible rebound off the beam, and she knows she's in trouble here because she's pulling like crazy.
So she actually finished it, but then forward rolled out of it. The round-off, I don't think, was really cleanly over her head.
No, she had a little trouble all the way throughout that pass, and of course she had nowhere near enough power to make the rotation. She's all right.
Her ego is bruised, though, because she knows she's done that routine so much better. She certainly has thrown that dismount much more handily in practice. Tough break for Robin Richter. The sad part is she really threw a flawless routine up until that point. There are the numbers, 8.825. And now Wendy Bruce is up. She's a 16-year-old who competes at Brown's Gymnastics in Altamont Springs, Florida. I remember in Belgium, she won every event except balance beam, where she placed second. Let's see if she pulls it together here.
Boy, what a nice combination for the mount. She got up to shoulder stand and pirouetted in shoulder stand, a move we've seen done by Phoebe Mills of the U.S. team as well. Two switch leg split leaps in a row. Back handspring, and a lot of trouble there. Looks like she was setting up for another move and was completely off on the second back handspring, so she opted to not do it. Now there's that mixed series. She did a leap right to a layout. That fulfills the requirement of a gymnastic acro series. She's working low to the beam, something else the judges are looking for. And of course, there's the mandatory full turn. Looks like she's setting up for her dismount. She left out a very big part early in the routine, so it's going to hurt her score. Oh, no. Nice work there.
I wonder if she added that because she left out such a big part in the beginning.
Actually, I don't think so. She was setting up for the front. And I just misread that.
Again, standing with a lot of arm movement, getting ready.
Look at, she's all the way off the end of the beam. Round off tuck double. Nice dismount.
And she needed the distance. Pulled that around nicely. The score she wants to beat is 8.825.
This is a really great. Watch this mount. She does a shoulder stand in split, and then pirouette, pirouette, and maintains the shoulder stand position throughout. Really a nice.
That's got to hurt her
nice
back.
element. Now watch, she's going to do back handspring here. And I'm sure she was planning to do something out of that, but obviously she decided to scrap that and just get to the end of the beam and continue. Boy, she finished strong though. Round off. Really good rotation on this tuck double. She finishes easily. Tough dismount.
And there was an excellent comparison between her dismount and Robin Richter. And I wonder if that motivated Wendy to put a little extra oomph in the dismount. When you see somebody under-rotated, it's so scary. You're afraid they're going to land right on their head. Of course, that did not happen to Robin Richter, but she landed awfully low. And I think that may be why Wendy Bruce gave it a little extra oomph. 9.375, so her lead of 1.05 over Robin Richter will grow after 2 events. Now we swing over to the vaulting competition for the men. In men's gymnastics, they only vault once. Mike Williams has a .55 advantage over Scott.
Boy, he is powering down this runway. Wow, that was amazing.
Was it ever?
For such a big guy, he gets some amazing air time. That was a handspring front tucked with a full. I love that. Look at the power.
Look at the rotation.
He cranks into the tuck and then pops a full twist. That's a really hard element to land because you don't see the landing until the last minute. Watch this again. This is really neat stuff. Handspring front, and he is up there. Now watch what he does. He does the front, now he cranks out and pops a full twist. It's a really hard vault.
And the score for his vault is 9.65. And Scott Burr is up next on the vault.
We noted in the women's competition that the girls actually have to signal to the judges what vault they're going to perform before they do it, and then follow up with that, or otherwise there's a major deduction. In men's gymnastics, you don't have to tell the judges what you're going to do beforehand, and all of us have changed our vaults in the run. I can tell.
Mid-flight, maybe.
Sometimes even mid-air. You're exactly right.
You don't hit that board just right, you're not pulling a double.
Boy, look at him cross down. Handspring pike front and a really clean landing.
He's happy.
Well, I like that vault as well because it wasn't as difficult as the vault that we saw Mike Williams attempt. But watch how clean it is. This is critical. He goes handspring on. Great form in the pre-flight with his legs together. Good clean pike, and he kicks out a short hop on the landing. It's very difficult to keep good leg form on the pre-flight. Watch this. Heels together. That's amazing. Usually on the pre-flight, you see some kind of form break, but the judges don't normally see it because it happens so fast. Watch again how his heels are pinned together as he takes to the vault.
Well, that seems to be his trademark. He has excellent form in everything he does, even when he's falling. His score, 9.3, not quite good enough to close the ground between himself and Mike Williams. Mike Williams received a 9.65. We'll be back with more competition from Denver. Please stay with us. The advantage goes to Wendy Bruce by a 1.60 margin. That is after 3 events. On the men's side, Mike Williams leads Scott Burr. It's a close matchup, though. 0.9 separates these two gentlemen with 2 rotations remaining, the parallel bars and the horizontal bar. And right now, Scott Burr is ready to compete on the parallel bars.
You can see that the curtains are being pulled back behind the parallel bar event. We've been using those curtains as a backdrop, but Scott's going to do an interesting mount. And if the curtains were there, his legs would crash right into him. So the coaches are going to have to hold the curtains back so that he can do these giant swings on the end of the bars. Straddle cut. Flares to a planche. And he bails to a giant front uprise to a straddle front 1 1/4. Good opening run. Back toss a little bit over. Catches the next one. Oh, how about... Oh, no. That's too bad. He was doing a dismount that Tsukahara first did. Tsukahara was, of course, the inventor of the great vault. But he also invented a couple other moves on the high bar as well as the P-bars. He got off to a good start with flares here to a planche, giant front uprise, front toss all the way around to support, and a glide kip. Really good opening sequence. Now he gets to the 1 bar here, and he's going to do what they call a snap down back over the other bar. It's a tough move. It's very close, and he just pulls it way over.
Into the plant stand. 9.0 the score for Scott Burr on the parallel bars. He's trying to maintain his sense of humor about the situation.
I think it's more embarrassing than it was in terms of physical hurt, but it was a good routine. It's too bad that happened. He was going great.
Can we blame the plant?
Let's do.
Mike Williams up next. 0.9 his advantage over Scott Burr at this point.
There's a peach straddle cut to an L. Press to a handstand. Diamidov. He's a little short on those handstands. You can see he's not quite getting them all right to the top, and he's having to fight the positions a little bit. He needs to extend out just a little more on those handstands. And of course, when you can't quite find the handstand, you can't quite find the bottom of the swing as well. And of course, that's why he got into trouble on the dismount.
Well, after he saw Scott Burr fall, it left him a little advantage, I would say, but he didn't really capitalize on it.
Look at here. You can see he does a pirouette, and he's underbalanced there. He needs to squeeze that to the position the handstand needs to be in. He does the stutz, and he's short again. He needs to be finding those handstands. And, of course, that led to the problem on the dismount because he wasn't straight up and down. He went through the bottom, rushed it through the bottom, and then pulled it around to over-rotate.
So in a case of monkey see, monkey do, is an opportunity for flubbed dismounts. 8.85. So Scott Burr has taken one apparatus from Mike Williams by a 0.15 margin. He beats Mike Williams on the P-bars, but still trails by 0.75 after 5 rotations. The women now are about to make their final appearance in this round. Wendy Bruce against Robin Richter. Wendy Bruce is up first.
Here we go. Wow. Very powerful full in double back. Nice combination of leaps. This routine is a little reminiscent of her teammate, Brandy Johnson. They have similar styles. Round off back handspring, tuck, double back, nice.
With room to spare. Full turn cat leap.
Last run. Double full. Good job.
Strong finish by 16-year-old Wendy Bruce of Brown's Gymnastics.
That's Wendy Bruce. One of the big letters.
She really blasted her opening tumbling run. This is a full twisting double back. She's flying across, really a lot of speed. Round off back handspring. Watch the takeoff. She's very quick into the air. She pulls her knees in quickly. So look at, she finishes that thing way up in the air and just drops out of the sky. Good job.
9.775.
Her second run was a tuck double back. Once again, tremendous speed. Good, quick takeoff. No problem.
Judges liked it too. They gave her a 9.775.
Our next competitor is coming up on floor exercise from Nebraska School of Gymnastics.
I believe it's mathematically impossible for Robin Richter to catch her at this point. Robin Richter trails by 1.60 going in, and after getting a 9.775, Robin Richter is now just competing for the score.
Robin just missed a spot on the 88 Olympic team. She placed 14th in the final trials last year in Salt Lake City. Round off, whip, flip-flop, tuck double.
I like that combination.
Certainly is agreeing with her choice of Michael Jackson for her music. Back handspring, full punch front. Nice.
For the Nebraska School of Gymnastics.
In her second tumbling run, you can see here, she just round off back handspring, back layout with a full, right to the punch front, right there, boom. Nicely done. The last pass is a double full. She really gets a bad takeoff here. I don't know quite what happened. She twisted early. Probably a little trouble with that ankle, and I'm certain that she didn't really get a good punch when she took off to complete the double twist.
Wendy Bruce received a 9.775 for her floor exercise routine. Robin is now waiting for hers. I think maybe you could answer a question. Why do the gymnasts tape their wrists so much for floor exercise?
Well, there is a lot of pressure on the wrist bending back when you do the back handsprings. And to get the really powerful tumbling, you have to drill your hands back into the mat so that you can explode off the hands. And so there's quite a bit of pressure on the wrists, and good wrist support helps a great deal.
That's what the tape does. It supports the wrist from maybe hyperextending.
Exactly.
Getting strained. We will come back with the score for Robin Richter. We're going to break away now for a commercial message. Stay with us here. The competition continues at the 1989 U.S. Gymnastics Challenge. The 1989 U.S. Challenge is now over in the first rotation for Robin Richter and Wendy Bruce. Robin Richter has been eliminated. Her all-around total is 36.3. The floor exercise score that we promised you was 9.05. Wendy Bruce is our winner by a 2.325 margin. She will advance to compete against either Marna Neubauer or Kelly Pitson in the next round. Right now, the men in this rotation are Scott Burr and Mike Williams. Mike Williams has a lead by a 0.75 margin going into our sixth and final event, the horizontal bar. Mike Williams is up first.
Once again, from Houston Baptist University, Mike Williams.
This is one of Mike's favorite events. He said it's pommel horse and high bar, his two favorite. Open back up rise, back stalder. Oh, nice one-arm work. Stalder to one-arm Ginger. Way out there on the end of his fingertips, but he does a nice job at regrasping the bar and getting back into the giant swings. Here's the jam to the Eagle Giants. He's fulfilled 2 requirements that the judges needed to see: a release move and an Eagle Giant. And what a dismount, a double twisting, double flip.
Was he happy after that? Look at that smile.
This is the one-arm giant swing to a Ginger, which is a backflip with a half. Just a little form break, but a good job in controlling the regrasp and kipping back up. This is the dismount. 2 flips and 2 twists. This is really nice.
Score.
Great position in the air, great form, and he finishes it easily.
And sticks it. And the score is 9.60. The crowd is booing. They wanted a higher number.
Well, he had a form break on the release move, and he was a little sloppy in his Eagle Giant, so I can see the judges are looking for the really fine points, although it was a very exciting routine. This is Scott Burr, does the same mount that we just saw Mike Williams do, and a nice release move. Stall the reverse hecht.
Scott Burr is mathematically eliminated, but right now competing just for the best score he can get.
Did his Eagle Giant swings, hop pirouette, stalled her, blind change. Look at the speed. He really cranks these Giants. He's flying. And a beautiful laid out full twisting double.
Well, the crowd got their money's worth from these two. Mike Williams and Scott Burr really put on a fine show.
This is the Stalder to a reverse hecht. That's a beautiful move. He kipped back up into giant swings, and he really cranks these Giants. Now watch what he's going to do. You can see it from this angle really well. He does a laid out double flip, and he twists in the second flip. 1 twist, 2 flips, laid out position. Nice job.
Score for Scott Burr.
And Scott Burr has defeated Mike Williams on the horizontal bar. But to survive, you have to have a higher all-around total. And that number belongs to Mike Williams. So Mike Williams eliminates Scott Burr. We'll be back with a recap after these messages. In 3 individual events, the rings, the P-bars, and the high bar, but in the all-around total, and that's what counts in this U.S. Challenge, it was Mike Williams that prevailed by a .65 margin. On the women's side, it was Wendy Bruce over Robin Richter by a more comfortable margin, 2.325. Bart Connor is standing by with both of our winners.
Well, first of all, congratulations, Mike and Wendy. You know, I thought you looked terrific today, and yet you're not totally pleased, are you?
Well, I think I can do a little bit better on bars and beam tomorrow and hit a little more.
What happened there?
Well, I just had a few breaks, a few wobbles.
Well, we hope you get it together for the next rounds.
Thanks.
And Mike, you seem to be having so much fun out there.
Yeah, I just came out here to see if I could do the best that I could do and hit all 6. And, you know, if I moved on to the next round, that's okay. If I didn't, that's all right. But I came out to accomplish that goal, and I'm really happy, and I'm really psyched about tomorrow.
Well, we appreciate your attitude. You're fun to watch.
Thank you.
Congratulations to the both of you. Leandra?
Thank you, Bart Connor. Again, Mike Williams and Wendy Bruce will advance to the second round of our bracketed tournament. We'll be back with some final thoughts after this. Wendy, Robin Richter to advance. She'll face either Marnie Neubauer or Pitson. On the men's side, it was Mike Williams over Scott Burr surviving to the next round. And it'll be Patrick Kirksey against